Yeah. So we discussed about different gunavataras of the Lord. So before we had a very detailed discussion on Brahma and also Shiva. So we started the Gunavatara of Lord as Vishnu, who is more in charge of Sattva Guna. With Brahma and Shiva, we discussed that they are controlling Rajoguna and Tamoguna respectively. It is not that Lord need a different personalities to handle a different portfolio. This is can understand that in a way it's a kind of a principle how Lord does. So each portfolio he himself expands and handles that particular portfolio, and he will carry the potency what is required for that particular uh, expansion or incarnation. So otherwise, all these personalities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the particular expansion needs only to that extent of a potency. So Lord exhibits only to that extent of his powers. So we discussed in detail like how Brahma has different forms, and also Shiva has different forms. There's one Shiva who is almost like a Vishnu Tattva. We can say he is there in spiritual world. He is nothing to do with what is happening in this material world, but all his expansions are coming into this material world, like the Shambhu or Rudra or Maheshwara or whatever expansions forms we see, the Shiva's forms we see in this material world. So they're all expansions of Sadashiva in Sadashiva Loka and spiritual world. So these three incarnations, avataras, they are for a specific purpose only in this material world. So like a Shiva as a mode of in charge of mode of Tamoguna, Brahma is in charge of mode of Rajoguna, and Vishnu as a mode of in charge of mode of Sattva. These personalities as in charge of these modes are not in the spiritual world. Spiritual world, Vishnu is there, Narayana is there. He is in mode of pure goodness. It doesn't mean that Vishnu is in the mode of goodness. Vishnu is in charge of mode of goodness, is not into the mode of goodness. That is the point we are going to discuss today. The same way Shiva in spiritual world is a pure personality. He is always engaged in meditation of Lord Sankarsana, that's Sadashiva. And Brahma has no place in spiritual world. So when we talk about the Gunavataras, these three Gunavataras, they are specific to each universe. So every universe there is a Brahma, there is a Shiva, there is a Vishnu. So we have millions and billions and trillions of universes. So every universe we find one. Hare Krishna, request to please keep your audio mute. Bhakti Mataji, I'll just make you as a co-host so that you can control any
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
audio. I made you co-host. So in case any audio to be muted, you can just please take
Yes.
care.
Okay.
So this is how this Gunavataras works. So these three Gunavataras are there in every universe. So there are billions and trillions and of Gunavataras in this material world. So for every universe, we'll find one Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. So we discussed enough about Brahma and Shiva. So we'll continue our discussion about Vishnu today. So in verse 33, we discussed, we are not going to recite verses since we did last time. So we'll continue, we'll complete all those verses and couple of more verses depending on the time. So regarding Sri Vishnu, the third canto states that into that universal lotus flower, Lord Vishnu personally entered as Supersoul, and when it was thus impregnated with all the modes of material nature, the personality of Vedic wisdom, whom we call the self-born, was generated. So generated here, it means that it is expanding from Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So he is not like a taking birth, like any other normal living entities in this material world. So he gets expanded from, there will be billions, as I said, there are billions and trillions of Kshirodaksha Vishnus expanding from Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So that we saw. So as a super soul of all the living entities, Lord understands what is going on in the mind of all the living entities. So this is the main purpose of Kshirodaksha Vishnu. He expands into, as I was telling last time also, that the role of Kshirodaksha Vishnu is very typical compared to all other incarnations. Here, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, he is not, he is more of a witnessing personality, and he is guiding personality, but otherwise he is not directly involved in any other activities. But one aspect of Kshirodaksha Vishnu is that any incarnation happening in this material world, in this particular universe, they are coming through Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So, like say for example, like Narsingha or any other any incarnations coming to this material in this universe, Kshirodaksha Vishnu is a source. So, source means he is a medium. So it's not that he is expanding, but he is a medium through whom Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead, he comes, incarnates into this material world. So his role is more of a guiding and witnessing. So since he is a super soul of all the living entities, he understands what is going on in the minds of all the living entities. That's why he's called Rishikesha. So he's in charge of all the senses. So it's not, whereas we are tiny keshas, we think that no, we are not even understanding what is going on with our senses. So what to talk of senses of somebody else? Whereas Lord, in the form of a super soul, Paramatma, he understands what is going on in the minds of all the living entities. So as I said last week also, that he is there not only in the living entities, he is there even in the non-living entities also. So that quality of that particular non-living entity comes because of the presence of Paramatma into that particular non-living entity. So we discuss example of water and a stone. The nature of the stone is a hardness that is coming because of the presence of the Paramatma, Kshirodakasha Vishnu, in that particular non-living object. The same way in the water, the quality, the nature of the water is liquid, and the taste what we get from the water is because of presence of Lord in that non-living thing. So it's explained in Bhagavad Gita that both the super soul and the atomic soul are situated on the same tree of body within the same heart of the living being, and only one who has become free from all the material desires as well as lamentations can, by the grace of Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. So it is very, very wonderful point Sri Prabhupada is mentioning. Here, the point is not that we try to understand the glories of super soul. So here the point is, for us to even understand the glories of the soul, to understand ourselves. So we have to become free from all the material desires. That happens by the grace of the Lord. So then we understand who I am. Then we start inquiring who is Lord and what is the relationship between both of us. So all these things will come into place only by the grace of the Supreme, and that happens only uh, when we become free from all the material desires. So it is a very, very high stage. The process is given by the acharyas to become free from all the material desires. In this Kali Yuga is chanting the holy name of the Lord. So that is what we are trying to practice and doing the devotion service, so that we become free from all the material desires. And then at some stage, we understand who am I. So not that we'll try to understand who is the Lord. So to understand who am I, so we have to become. Otherwise, we are in bodily consciousness. We think that okay, I am the body. So that is the whole crux of the story. So in 2.34, Vishnu spoken about here is the Lord who lies on the milk ocean because he is a personal expansion of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. The best of sages call him Narayana. They also call him Virat and Antaryami. So Vishnu, when we talk about Vishnu, he is called with so many different names, and none of the names are wrong, and all these names are interchangeable. Like for Kshirodaksha Vishnu, they call Narayana, and Narayana they call Vishnu. So anything is possible. But if we really try to understand the difference, then yes, Narayana is different and Vishnu is different. When we talk about Vishnu, so again, the three kinds of Vishnus, all these things we discussed in the previous sections also. But in general, people call even this Vishnu as Narayana. So which Vishnu we are talking about? We are talking about the Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So when you say Vishnu in general, he is a Kshirodaksha Vishnu in this material world. Unless we call him a Mahavishnu, so we refer to Karna Vishnu. So otherwise, when we say Vishnu in this material world, majority of cases we refer to the Vishnu who is lying in the milk ocean, who lies in the milk ocean. So since he is a personal expansion of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, the sages call him as Narayana because the whole connection is there up to Narayana. From there, all the expansions are happening. Karna Vishnu, Garbha Vishnu, and from Garbha Vishnu to Shira Vishnu. So and this personality is also called Virat and Antaryami because he is for this particular universe. He is because of his influence, because of his presence, the whole agitation happens in this universe and everything becomes active. So that's why he is called Virat. Uh, he is also called Virat, and he is Antaryami because he spreads at every place. When he say he is spread at every place, means that his presence is felt in every atom. Because as we discussed just some time ago, that presence of Kshirodaksha Vishnu makes the whole the material nature active. So the quality of even non-living entities and the living entities and all these things become active only because of the presence of Kshirodaksha Vishnu, the Paramatma within us. So Vishnu, Dharmottara and other Puranas describe Vishnu's various expansions and abodes that manifest within the material universe. A condensed account follows. So up to here we discussed, I think last time. So from here actually it is a bit of a technical, but I don't want to go in deep. One point I would like to say is that uh, Vishnu, when we talk about Vishnu, even in this material universe, there are so many kinds, so many Vishnus, so many expansions of Vishnu, so many abodes of Vishnus, even this material world, even this material, our own universe also we see, not even material world, even within one universe, we have so many abodes of Vishnus. So that is generally not known, not discussed, not revealed. But there are some revealed scriptures are there, but generally it is not revealed to our the tiny brain because it's very difficult to comprehend. So I'm not going into very detailed, but I'll touch base, and in detail we'll see at a different time when we do that one special separate seminar is there for that. So that itself is a complete deep dive of the Vedic cosmology. So when we do that, we'll understand more about various abodes of Vishnu even in this material universe. So to start with verse 36, it is said that the planet belonging to Vishnu can be found 50,000 yojanas, so just above Rudra's domain. The inhabitants of these worlds cannot reach that planet. So he is one of the planet, one of the abode of Vishnu in this universe is there about 50,000 yojanas above the Rudra's domain. So this particular planet is hidden. So this planet cannot be like seen or understood by any inhabitants of this material world. So beyond that planet, the egg-like shell of the universe radiates a brilliant golden effulgence. It is said that saltwater ocean east of Meru mountain is another vast planet of Vishnu. So there's one more planet of Vishnu is there, one more abode of Vishnu is there, which is the saltwater ocean east of Mount Meru. So this Mount Meru is something which is a very bewildering concept for many. As I said, this concept we have to understand very, very deep with a separate seminar, as I mentioned. I'm not sure whether any of you have already read the book, which is Bhagavata Cosmology. I think it is written by Pavaneshwar Prabhu. Very, very deep aspect. One who understands this Vedic cosmology, for them it becomes very easy. It's all coming from fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Very, very deep philosophical aspect and very confusing. But once we understand this, is very, very simple. This is a concept based on which the even Temple of Vedic Planetarium, which is being built in Mayapur, Siddha Mayapur, is based on this Vedic cosmology concept. So here we see, we'll see a couple of pictures and slides to understand actually what we are talking about. So here we are seeing that this verse 37, beyond the planet, egg-like shell of universe radiates a brilliant golden effulgence. It is said that in the in the saltwater ocean east of Meru mountain is another vast planet of Vishnu. So there in the saltwater ocean east of Meru mountain is there is another abode of Lord Vishnu. So this abode is also planet of Kshirodaksha Vishnu. He has different abodes in this even I'm talking about only one universe. Within one universe, Kshirodaksha Vishnu has got a different abodes. So one of that abode is the salt ocean, which is east of mountain Meru mountain. So what is Meru mountain is all about. We are seeing in this. So if you see, let me. Yeah. See here, you see in center, if you see here, this is Meru mountain, or it's called Sumeru mountain also. We are not going to discuss where it is and how it is, because it is very confusing at this stage. We, as I said, we will have a separate seminar for Vedic cosmology. There we'll understand more detailed about this how this the whole material creation and different cosmology, how it works. There we understand very detailed. So we talk about the saltwater ocean. If you see here, there, if you see here, there is Mount Meru is there, and here you see here saltwater ocean. So just very close to where you can see the pointer. So in between, center is Mount Meru. Next to that mountain is, we'll see this is a closer section of what we are seeing in the left side. In center is a Sumeru mountain. This is made of gold, and this blue color you see around, this is a saltwater ocean. So in this saltwater ocean, there is abode of Vishnu is what we are. So you can see here, this is mentioned here, saltwater. So this, so this is salt ocean. So in this salt ocean, which is a blue color around this Mount Meru mountain. So in this salt ocean is where the Lord is residing in his abode. So it is one of the abodes. It is like a vacation guest house for the Lord. So sometimes he is there here, sometimes he is in a different abode. So one of his abodes are is in the salt ocean of which is surrounded, which is around the Mount Meru. So we can see here more clearly, it is a bit zoom out version. So Mount Meru you can see here, and this blue color, what you see around this is a saltwater, the saltwater ocean, which is 800,000 miles in breadth. So it is not a no small thing. It's 800,000 miles in breadth. The salt ocean is there. So in this salt ocean, there is Lord Vishnu's one of the abodes. So you can see here another version of this a detailed discussion and analysis we can have sometime in coming weeks or coming months when we feel we are ready. So I'll take we can discuss on this Vedic Bhagavata cosmology topic. It's very deep and very interesting. So for now, we can just understand that this is no Mount Meru, and this is no around. You can see the blue color water. This is a salt water ocean. So in this salt water ocean, so what we saw that the east side, you can see here northeast. The directions are given. So east side of this north water ocean, there is a planet of Lord Vishnu. So this planet is in saltwater ocean. So usually we know that Vishnu resides in Kshetrasagara ocean. So that is one of his abodes. Not that that is only one abode in this universe. So this is I can say the deeper version of what Srimad Bhagavatam we understood. So there we understood that no Lord resides in Kshetrasagara. So all the demigods go there and they will recite Purusha Suktas and Sri Suktas, and then Lord pleases and he offers benedictions. But here, when we go a deeper aspect of this, Sri Rupa Goswami is revealing much more bewildering things. How Lord is residing in different abodes within this universe itself. So one of his abode is there in the salt ocean, which is surrounded to the Mount Meru, Golden Mount Meru. So that was for salt ocean. So there the Lord of Lords Janardhana takes rest at the end of hot season. So attended always by Lakshmi, he reposes on the bed of Anantashesha. So here also Lakshmi is there. Here also Anantashesha is there. So what we are trying to understand is this personality is not different from the Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So in this personality is being described as Janardhana. So he resides here. When he resides here, he is called Janardhana, and he comes here at the end of hot season. So this is very bewildering fact to understand that how can we comprehend the hot and summer and the rainy seasons for even for the Lord. So that is very difficult for our tiny brains to understand. So we will not go into deeper aspects of that at this stage. We'll discuss about that when we go to do that Vedic cosmology seminar. But for now, we understand that this is a one more vacation spot, vacation guest house for kind of guest house for the Lord. So he comes here at the end of hot season. So this is one of his other abode. So also within the Milk Ocean east of Mount Meru lies a beautiful island that is another abode of Supreme Lord. On that island, amid the milky waters, he rests on his bed, Anantashesha, during the 4 months of rainy season attended by Lakshmi. So the one more abode where the Lord Vishnu is residing is within the Milk Ocean east of Mount Meru. So there are 7 different oceans around the Mount Meru. So we can see here in this picture. So see the center of this. Yeah, you can see center of this is where the pointer is there. So this is where the Mount Meru is there. This is very long the length itself is huge. Can all the description we'll see in that Vedic cosmology. So for now, we just try to understand where is the salt ocean, where is the milk ocean. So this is the Mount Meru, and you can see immediately after the surrounded around the Mount Meru, there is a blue color water is there. That is a salt water. That is 800,000 miles breadth. So where is this milk ocean we are talking about? So this where the pointer, my red color pointer is there. So this is the milk ocean. So this is a milk ocean. So again, the east of this milk ocean, there is one abode where the Lord Vishnu is residing. So just don't get confused for now. Just try to understand the different abodes of the Lord Vishnu. Otherwise, the details of this, what is Mount Meru, why these 7 oceans are there, and different varshas and lokas are there. So what are these? So don't get confused at this stage. That separately we'll discuss at a different time. At appropriate time, I will cover that seminar in coming weeks or coming months, once feel that we are ready for that. So for now, we understand that the different, because each one is a dvipa. Each one is dvipa, and each dvipa is surrounded by a different kind of ocean. So the first one is here, you see, this is a salt ocean. Then here you can see the milk ocean. There are different other oceans also there. Ocean of yogurt is there, and see here, you can see here the sweet drinking water ocean, and yogurt ocean is there, milk ocean is there, clarified butter ocean is there, liquor ocean is there, sugarcane ocean is there, and saltwater ocean is there. So different oceans are there, and each dvipa is surrounded by one different ocean. So in between this brown color you see, this is one dvipa and surrounded by one ocean. So this is milk ocean surrounded by another land. This is earth. Again, earth means not this earth, but these are land, and which is surrounded by again one more yogurt ocean. So likewise, sugarcane ocean and all these oceans are surrounded. So each one of the ocean, the Lord resides in his own abode. So the Kshiroda Vishnu has his own abode in each of these oceans. That is the crux of this point what we are discussing. So within
प्रभु
this,
जी
yes, Prabhu.
प्रभु जी एक डाउट बहुत पहले से है कि ये जो डिस्क्रिप्शन आता है कि पहले खारा समुद्र का एक खारा जल का समुद्र है, फिर दूध का समुद्र है, देन ईख का गन्ने का समुद्र है, ये डिस्क्रिप्शन को क्या हम लोग अर्थ पे समझे या फिर ये पूरे के पूरे ब्रह्मांड के स्ट्रक्चर को बोला जा रहा है कंबाइनली? क्योंकि
मैं वही बोला था ना अभी, वो पॉइंट हम सेपरेटली डिस्कस करेंगे. वो इसमें आता है कि वैदिक कॉस्मोलॉजी या भागवत कॉस्मोलॉजी एक सेपरेट टॉपिक है. तो उसमें ये इतना वो, क्योंकि वो बहुत डीप टॉपिक है, वो एक दिन में नहीं होगा. एंड दैट फॉर दैट वी हैव टू prepare our consciousness. I will tell, we have all the information on the material, and Acharya so explained everything. That part we are going to discuss. But one thing I can say, आप जो भी बोल रहे हैं ना, जो क्षीर सागर है और गन्ने का जूस का सागर है और लिकर का सागर है, लिकर का ओशन है,
बिल्कुल.
all these oceans are not on this earth planet. Earth
Okay.
planet where we are sitting. Like you are there in India, we are there in Gulf, and somebody is in a different part of the world. So we are all in the earthly planet. So all these oceans are not on this earth.
इसमें से
point,
कहीं पे एक प्लेनेट होगा अर्थ, कहीं पे
है
ऐसे
प्रभु,
बहुत सारे प्लेनेट.
हाँ प्रभु. So we'll see that. See, earth is there in one of these dvipas. अभी बोला है ना, देखिए ये जो
इसी का ट्रेस.
हाँ,
और इसी का शॉर्ट मैप में अर्थ पे जैसे सारा कुछ आइलैंड वगैरह, इसी का एक शॉर्ट व्यू रहता है.
ये जो आप चक्रव्यूह देख रहे हैं ना, ये जो 7 द्वीप है, इसमें 7 द्वीप है. अब देखिए इधर आलोक वर्षा है, माउंट लोकलोका है, गोल्डन लैंड है, ये ऐसे इतना सारे जम्बू द्वीपा है, इतने सारे है ना. हमारे जो अर्थ है, इट इज पार्ट ऑफ जम्बू द्वीपा. वो जम्बू द्वीपा किधर है, क्या है, वो हम डिटेल डिस्कस करेंगे, बट इट इज जम्बूद्वीपा इज देयर विद इन दिस चक्रा. But how we can understand this chakra is a completely bewildering thing. But let us not go into that now, because the whole topic is a separate seminar, and that cannot be completed in one day. That is a very detailed seminar that we'll discuss separately. You please reserve very valid doubt, but I don't want to discuss on that, because that discussion starts, then it will be very bewildering for many of us. So I can say that we are not ready as it. Maybe some of you already read this book, and fifth canto Bhagavatam. Even those who read fifth canto Bhagavatam, it is very confusing. So we need to very carefully analyze and understand that. So we definitely we'll discuss. So we have all the information and all the material, everything is there. We'll discuss definitely in coming weeks or coming months. Whenever I feel we are ready for that, we'll discuss. So appropriate time I will open. But for now, you understand that Earth, what we are talking about, is there part of Jambudvipa. अब इधर देख रहे हैं ना, बहुत सारे द्वीप है, इसमें जम्बूद्वीपा एक वन ऑफ द द्वीप से देखिए, जम्बूद्वीपा है और प्लाक्ष द्वीपा है, सलमाली द्वीपा है, कुशा द्वीपा है, ये सब द्वीप है ना, ये 7 द्वीप है इधर. ये 7 द्वीप का
इन्हीं का डेमो फॉर्मेट में अर्थ पे भी होता है सारा डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, तो इसीलिए कंफ्यूजन हो जाता है कि यही सब नाम से अर्थ पे भी प्लेसेस हैं, तो क्या ये उन्हीं के बारे में बोला जाए?
नहीं प्रभु, ऐसा नहीं है. लेकिन अर्थ इज देयर इन जम्बूद्वीपा. जम्बूद्वीपा इज वन ऑफ these 7 द्वीपास. हाउ कैन यू अंडरस्टैंड द्वीपा? सिंपल बताता हूँ. बीच में माउंट मेरू है, ठीक है. माउंट मेरू का सराउंडिंग एक जो आप देख रहे हैं ना ब्लू कलर का, दैट ना माउंट मेरू सराउंडेड बाय ब्लू कलर वाटर, दैट इज साल्ट ओशन. उसके सराउंडिंग में और एक ब्राउन कलर का है, दैट इज वन द्वीपा, वन ऑफ द 7 द्वीपास. तो उसके सराउंडिंग में एक है, दैट इज it is like a sugarcane juice, sugarcane ocean. तो ये जो फर्स्ट का ब्राउन कलर देख रहा है ना, ये जम्बूद्वीपा है. उसके सराउंडिंग में जो है शुगर केन जूस है. उसके बाद सेकंड द्वीपा है. लाइकवाइज द्वीप्स आर देयर. सो दिस इज जो व्हाइट कलर का देख रहा है ना, दिस इज मिल्क ओशन एंड सराउंडेड बाय अनदर द्वीप, एंड दिस इज योगर्ट ओशन. दिस ओशन इज फुल ऑफ योगर्ट. It's very difficult to comprehend. How can we understand that how the yogurt will be there all the time in that ocean? So it is very difficult for us to comprehend, but it is there. It is difficult to understand. How can we understand that the water remains salty all the time? So, but we experience this. We see that ocean within even our 3 planet, we see salt ocean. So otherwise, if somebody is who are not aware of the ocean, they said water is always sweet, अच्छा taste आता है. How can we comprehend that water can be salty? The same way, that particular ocean is made of full of milk, or another ocean is made full of sugarcane juice, another ocean is made of full of yogurt. So likewise, different oceans are there, and each ocean is surrounded by another land. It is not earth, but it is made of earth and surrounded by land. And so likewise, the 7 oceans are there, 7 oceans and 7 dvipas. So for now, that understanding is enough. Let us not go into deeper aspect. We definitely will get confused. We will cover that at appropriate time when we do this Bhagavata's cosmology or Vedic cosmology seminar. So in our temple of Vedic planetary Mayapur, whatever they are building is exactly based on this concept only. So everything is going by Srimad Bhagavatam and our scriptures. So our understanding also will be clear as we proceed in coming weeks and months. So for now, you understand that why I showed this picture is that Lord abode, Lord का जो abode है, ये salt ocean में भी है और हर ocean में भी रहता है उसका abode, and he is there in this क्षीर सागर है. हर ओशन में इसका अबोर्ड रहता है. दैट्स व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड.
वो मनवंतर के हिसाब से प्रकाशित होता है कभी किसी मनवंतर में.
वो दैट मनवंतर, ऑल दिस वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस इन कमिंग वीक्स. सो इट विल बी it will be like cleared eventually. One by one, it will open up. So I don't know to give everything now so that we'll get confused as we proceed. But my only request is try to attend this regularly so that we'll not miss out any important topic. Though all the recording will be there in YouTube, but still the live discussion is always good. So this is how the whole Vedic cosmology is built. So Lord Vishnu is he has his own abodes in every of these oceans. That's what we are discussing. Few of them we discussed. So there again within the Milk Ocean south. Now before we discuss Milk Ocean of the north. So here you can see within the Milk Ocean east of Mount Meru lies a beautiful island, another abode of Supreme Lord. So here we are discussing within the Milk Ocean south of the Mount Meru is a continent 25,000 yojanas in diameter. This most gorgeous island is known as Shvetadvipa. So this is the Shvetadvipa what generally we talk where Lord resides, Kshirodaksha Vishnu resides. This is his original abode. So all other abodes, they are picnic or vacation spots. So actually Lord resides in this place. So this is his Shvetadvipa. So my dear Yadava, the people of Shvetadvipa are refulgent as the sun and as attractive as cool red moon. They emit such a brilliance that even demigods find it difficult to look at them. So from this what we understand is the Shvetadvipa where Kshirodaksha Vishnu is residing, which is where is that? So it is in the south of Mount Meru. So again, for us, very difficult to comprehend. How can we understand what is north, what is east, south, west for Mount Meru? So that is very, very difficult for us to comprehend. But Bhagavatam is very, very clear and pictorial diagrams. And if you see the TOP, once it is opened up, everything will be crystal clear. It is like a banana peeled and giving to you, just you have to eat. So everything will be crystal clear. By then we'll have all the theoretical understanding also. So this board, Shvetadvipa, is on the south side of Mount Meru in the Milk Ocean. Milk Ocean is a huge, very huge Milk Ocean. So even Salt Ocean itself 800,000 miles breadth, and Milk Ocean is even much bigger, maybe twice or thrice. All those that information we'll cover when we do that Vedic cosmology seminar. But it is huge. So that huge Milk Ocean, the east side is one abode of the Lord, and now we are talking about south. This abode is called as a Shvetadvipa. So the people on Shvetadvipa are very effulgent. So from this we understand that the Lord, where the Kshirodaksha Vishnu is residing in Shvetadvipa, not only he and Lakshmi Devi, but there are other residents also serving the Lord in this particular planet. Now, that is a bewildering thing for us to comprehend. Who will be the personalities who can go to that Shvetadvipa and serve them? So it's very, very difficult to comprehend. But for now, we understand that there are personalities, there are associates of the Lord, there are devotees of the Lord who are serving the Lord Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu in Shvetadvipa in this particular abode. So, and Brahmanda Purana, the great and very beautiful golden island known as Shveta stretches for 100,000 yojanas amidst the Milk Ocean. Now, this is not the breadth of Milk Ocean. Before we saw, even the salty ocean breadth itself is 800,000 miles, whereas this Shvetadvipa itself is covering 100,000 yojanas. So this is the area of Shvetadvipa. So it is such a huge, and again, it is very difficult to understand and comprehend that it is only 800,000 yojanas or 100,000 yojanas. No, it is ever expanding. So it is beyond our physical measurement, is beyond our material measurements. So the 100,000 yojanas, what is mentioned is like it is kind of a infinite figure. It's hundreds of thousands of yojanas. That is how we have to understand, because none of the spiritual abodes, though it is this abode is in this material world, these abodes are spiritual. So these abodes cannot be measured with our materialistic senses. So it is not, we cannot say that this is the yojana for this. So there, the whole workings, calculations will be totally different. So on all the sides, it is swept by ocean's countless rolling waves, which leave on its shore perfectly polished white gemstones resembling jasmine flowers, the moon, or white lotuses. So this is a description of Shvetadvipa is being given here. Such a beautiful place. So this Shvetadvipa itself, such a wonderful and beautiful place, which is there in this material world. So what to talk of Vaikunta planet, which is there in the spiritual world? How beautiful and how opulent that planet is going to be. It is beyond our understanding also. According to Vishnu Purana and other Puranas, as well as the Moksha Dharma, Shvetadvipa lies near the northern shore of the Milk Ocean. So here there is looks like some contradiction. So before we saw that here in this verse 41, it is explained that within the Mount Milk Ocean, south of Mount Meru, is Shvetadvipa. But here this Vishnu Purana, it gives a different version. Vishnu Purana says that Shvetadvipa lies near the northern shore of Milk Ocean. So there are two explanations are given by the acharyas for this, is that since all these are in this material world, so every time when Brahma dies and total annihilation takes place, so every time when the new creation happens, this Shvetadvipa will manifest at a different side of the Milk Ocean. So that is the explanation of acharyas. So like here Vishnu Purana says that it is the northern side of Milk Ocean, and before some other Purana, the Vishnu Dharmottara Purana we heard, we saw that it is there in the south side of Milk Ocean. So the understanding what acharyas given is that both are right, and because the scriptures cannot go wrong. It is only that every creation of Brahma, it's not that Brahma is creating, but every creation of Brahma, it is appearing, is manifesting. This particular Shvetadvipa is manifesting at different sides, different locations, or different directions of the Milk Ocean. But it remains in one of the sides of one of the directions of the Milk Ocean, where his original abode in this material world is always there. Otherwise, he is there in salt ocean also, and liquor ocean also. Every ocean he's there. His presence is there, because every ocean there are so many living entities are there. And as I just now mentioned, Earth is one of the very tiniest part of this Jambudvipa that we'll see when we do this Bhagavad that seminar. That time we'll see how tiny is the three planet in Jambudvipa. Likewise, there are so many dvipas are there. So many dvipas are there. Each dvipa there are so many living entities are there. Billions and trillions of living entities, beyond our understanding, beyond our brain to understand. So every dvip, again there is Kshirodaksha Vishnu is there, and he has his abode and he has his expansions. So all these things are going on in every. But many of them are not recorded in the scriptures, because what is recorded is for our universe and our earthly planet, what is for us to understand the glories of the Lord. But otherwise, Lord Leela's expansions, his abodes are there in other parts of this universe also. So that is what we are trying to understand from these verses. So in the opinion of Padma Purana, so now another version. So Vishnu Purana says northern shore of Milk Ocean. In the opinion of Padma Purana, Shvetadvipa lies on the northern part of ocean of the pure water. So now pure water, where is the pure water? So we saw here, see you can see here the sweet drinking water ocean. So you can see this part. So here is where the Shvetadvipa is there. So this is as per so this is as per Padma Purana. So none of these Puranas are wrong. It is there. Lord's abode is there in every of these oceans, and he resides there. He makes it as his vacation spot. Whenever he wants, he will go there. So that is how we have to understand at this stage. Going forward, our understanding will be even improved. But instead of going deeper now and getting confused, for now we understand that Lord's abodes are there in different oceans of the 7 dvipas surrounded by 7 different oceans are there. So each one is covered in different Puranas, and all these Puranas are correct. None of the Puranas are wrong. So as per Padma Purana, Shvetadvipa lies in the northern part of ocean of pure water. So the scripture describe Lord Vishnu and his many incarnations as Sattva Tanu. This word can indicate that Vishnu propagates Tanoti. So this we are talking about verse 47. So there Lord's the incarnations are described, Vishnu and his incarnations are described as Sattva Tanu. Tanu means his body. Tanu means his body. Sattva is mode of goodness. So there is a again bewildering fact. This is explained by acharyas that can we understand that with this Lord's body is in mode of goodness. So when you say this word can indicate that Vishnu propagates, the two different meanings will come with the Sattva Tanu means. This word indicates that Vishnu propagates Tanoti, means he, because of him, mode of goodness is being spread, or he's in charge of mode of goodness, or we can also understand that mode of goodness is his body. So his body is made of mode of goodness because it is the external place of residence. So the body is where Lord is residing. So can we understand that his body is made of goodness? So Acharya has explained beautifully that it is not that his body is just made of goodness. We need to understand that he is in charge, like how we saw Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. They are in charge of two different modes. It doesn't mean they are into that particular mode. Whereas most of the cases, Brahma is mode of the passion, but Shiva is not in the mode of ignorance, nor the Vishnu is the mode of goodness. He propagates because in this material world, for anybody who want to go beyond the mode of beyond the three modes, this is what Krishna says to Arjuna, that grow beyond all the three modes and then you will understand. So for any living entity, if he wants to if he wants to understand the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to grow beyond, he has to elevate beyond the three modes. So to elevate beyond three modes, the platform for him to elevate is mode of goodness, Sattva Guna. It is like a rocket launching pad. So from mode of ignorance or mode of passion, one cannot go to spiritual world. So one has to come to mode of goodness. The mode of goodness is a launching pad. So mode of goodness, who can give mode of goodness? Mode of goodness is can be given only the personality who is above the mode of goodness. So the Vishnu, as we saw in the previous seminars, those who attended my seminar on Chaturviha expansions, there how Vasudeva is in charge of mode of pure goodness. That I'll show one of the slide for those who are not attended that seminar to understand what Vasudeva is all about. So for now, to understand this sloka is that Vishnu is propagating the mode of goodness. He is not into mode of goodness, but he is propagating the mode of goodness because mode of goodness is required for any living entity to go back to spiritual world. So that is a rocket launching pad. From there he will jump. So he cannot jump from mode of ignorance or mode of passion. So he jumps only from the mode of goodness. That is a launching rocket has to launch. It has to launch from the surface. That surface we are talking about is a mode of goodness, and Vishnu is in charge of that. So it is only Vishnu and Vishnu Tattvas who can give the platform for any living entities to go back to spiritual world. No other demigods can give that launching pad. So that is what we are trying to understand. So because Lord Shiva is in the mode of not in the mode of passion, he is in charge of mode of passion. So that his launching pad is from passion to goodness. If somebody wants to grow from passion to ignorance to this one, though that is launching pad for devotees of Shiva, and for those worshipping Brahma, from passion to goodness, that is the launching pad. Passion is the launching pad for them to jump to mode of goodness.
So once they're into mode of goodness, that is the launching pad for them to grow beyond three modes of material nature. So thus all scriptures consistently present him as being beyond the modes of nature. So that's why now I'll let me show. I'll stop sharing this and I'll share one slide. I'll share only one slide where it is gone. One second. Yeah. I can see this. So this is one of the seminar I took last year or before that. So these recordings are there on YouTube. So this is one of the Chaturvya expansions. So Vasudeva is in charge. He is in the he is in the mode of Shuddha Sattva. All the incarnations of the Lord Vishnu Tattvas, they're all in the mode of Shuddha Sattva only. But he is in charge of Shuddha Sattva stage. So in this stage, no infringe of modes. Modes cannot touch any person who is into this stage. So the worshippers of Vasudeva, they are already, Vasudeva means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are already into this. So because he is a ruling deity of consciousness, the consciousness of the devotees who worshipping Vasudeva, their consciousness also it becomes very pure. And he is a predominating deity of Mahatattva. Since he is a predominating deity of Mahatattva, means everything Mahatattva, what is Mahatattva is the origin of this material world. So he is a predominating deity of Mahatattva. Mahatattva is again a personality, and Mahatattva worships Vasudeva. So he is a deity of Mahatattva. So those who worshipping Vasudeva or Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will never get influenced or agitated by the three modes of material nature, which is a product of Mahatattva. And Vasudeva is the predominator of willing potency of Lord Krishna. So this is just to show that what Vasudeva stage is all about. So with this we covered up to verse 47.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Mahatattva is a spiritual thing or something material or in between? What is the significance of Mahatattva and Manatattva also?
Manatattva is our it is talking about our principle of our mind. That is completely different. Mahatattva is the it is a creation by the Karanadoksha Vishnu, and it is in one corner of the spiritual sky. But the ingredients of Mahatattva is purely material. Means Mahatattva is the basic
gravy of the material creation.
It is the ingredients of material creation. So like I was giving example before when I took that seminar of the spiritual world, material world. Like suppose you are making a roti. You are making a roti. Roti के लिए क्या चाहिए आपको? When we have dough, जो रोटी का जो dough होता है ना, उससे रोटी बनाता है. But dough किधर से आता है? Dough will come from flour, water, and some people will add jeera and mustard. There's some masala will add. सब मिला के करते हैं. But that is coming from where? That is from wheat is coming from a different source. Water is coming from different source. ये जो उसका जो original source है ना, that everything in the very raw form is called Mahatattva. So I'm just giving example of roti. Otherwise, this material world may whatever elements are there, like earth, water, fire, air, ether, all these things, and other total all the 24 elements. All these 24 elements in this material world, what is required for the creation of this material world, it is there in the Mahatattva in a raw stage. So it means everything is mixed करके अगर सोचिए आप
initial stage.
हाँ
in the initial stage.
Initial stage, just to give crude example, अगर आप रोटी बनाने के लिए आपको wheat चाहिए, सब चाहिए ना, सब मिला के एक जग में डाल के अगर रखेंगे, So that is Mahatattva. Means once you segregate that, we'll segregate wheat into wheat, water, sugar, separate करेंगे, then that is the next stage. Then उसके बाद जो आता है, that is material elements. So then material elements will form different bodies. Sometimes we'll make a human body, sometimes make different other animal bodies, or sometimes we make this phone. Phone also is purely matter. So all these ingredients are same. What we have, all these ingredients are same, but these ingredients in this original raw stage, that is in Mahatattva, सब mix होके एक इसमें रहेगा. So it is in the form of a cloud. So it is in one corner of the spiritual world, but the ingredients are required to create this material world. So the whole material creation is coming only from Mahatattva. Hope this is clear.
प्रभु जी एक और डाउट है छोटा सा.
हाँ.
प्रभु जी अभी कुछ हफ्ते पहले एक आईआईटी कानपुर के प्रोफेसर हैं, डिवोटी हैं, उनका एक सेशन अटेंड कर रहा था. तो उसमें प्रभु जी एक्सप्लेन कर रहे थे समथिंग लाइक कि एवरीथिंग इज कॉन्शियसनेस, ऐसे करके कुछ बता रहे थे. तो मैं वहां पे क्रॉसली पूछा कि प्रभु जी भगवान की जो बहुत तरह की शक्तियां होती है, उसमें से भौतिक शक्ति अलग है, मतलब तटस्था शक्ति, चित्त शक्ति अलग है और बहिरंगा शक्ति है. तो सब कुछ को कॉन्शियसनेस बोल देना, ये क्या कंप्लीटली सही है क्या? देन वन अनदर डिवोटी इज एक्सप्लेनिंग दैट कि जब कोई महाभागवत के स्टेज पे पहुंच जाता है, उत्तम भक्त के स्टेज पे, देन सब कुछ उसको स्पिरिचुअल होता है, मतलब उसके लिए सब कोई भक्त होता है, जैसे कि राधा रानी को हर कोई भक्ति दिखता है. तो प्रभु जी क्या ये एक्सप्लेनेशन सही है? बिकॉज अब जैसे हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे हैं तो वी आर डिफरेंशिएटिंग बिटवीन मटेरियल थिंग एंड स्पिरिचुअल थिंग, दैट दिस इज स्पिरिचुअल, द बॉडी ऑफ द लॉर्ड इज स्पिरिचुअल एंड दिस इज मटेरियल एनर्जी, महातत्व इज कंप्लीटली मटेरियल. बट क्या जैसे वो प्रभु जी ने बताया, और ऐसा है भी कि महाभागवत के नजर में सब कुछ स्पिरिचुअल होता है, तो फिर रियलिटी क्या हुआ? फिर ये समझ नहीं आता कि फिर कैसे हमारे लेवल पे तो हम लोग अभी डिफरेंशिएट कर रहे हैं कि ये मटेरियल है, ये स्पिरिचुअल है. जब कोई उस स्टेज पे पहुंच गया तो फिर वो सब कुछ स्पिरिचुअल देख रहा है, तो क्या सही में सब कुछ स्पिरिचुअल है या फिर सही में सब कुछ मटेरियल है? ये समझ नहीं आ रहा था.
Prabhu,
क्या
there are
इसका लॉजिक है?
two aspects of this point. It is depends on the perception from which we are looking at. When we say material, can you tell me this जो ईयरफोन मैं यूज कर रहा हूँ या शर्ट जो ऊपर का ये पहना हूँ, this is material or spiritual? This is a earphone यूज कर रहा हूँ. This is material, right? Generally.
Yeah.
This is material. So when we make use of all this material in the service of the Lord, then that platform, there is nothing material. Everything becomes spiritual. Everything becomes spiritual. It is from, actually all these things are material in this, because when we say material world, whatever is there in this material world is matter. But when we use it in the service of the Lord, that becomes spiritual. Like Prabhupada ji bolte the, he was using dictaphone to record. So that is purely matter. I mean, we use sometimes mic we use for the temples. So it is purely material. क्या होता है इसमें? Plastic होता है, थोड़ा iron होता है, थोड़ा different other cables or wires होता है. So it's all material. But it becomes spiritual when it is used in the service of the Lord. Because why we say that is, everything is emanating from the Lord only. From that perspective, we can understand that nothing can remain material. It is a matter, but when we use that matter in the service of the Lord, it becomes spiritual.
Okay, bro.
Hope this is clear.
लेकिन ये एक छोटा सा चीज समझ नहीं आता कि लॉर्ड स्पिरिचुअल, मतलब भगवान कंप्लीट चिन्मय है, उनका शरीर में हमारे तरह बॉडी उनका नहीं होता, उनके बॉडी में कुछ बोन्स ब्लड कुछ नहीं होता, लेकिन वो भगवान से फिर ये जैसे होता है ना कि भगवान की बहुत तरह की शक्तियां होती है, जिसमें से कि एक भौतिक शक्ति भी है, मटेरियल एनर्जी भी है, तो जो कि बिल्कुल डिफरेंट नेचर रखती है भगवान से. तो ये चीज थोड़ा सा समझ नहीं आता है प्रभु जी.
Prabhu, that is only his energy is only
स्पेशलिटी है क्या?
No, Prabhu, he has got different energies, as you said. But ये जो external energy है, the material nature or Mayadi, whatever you call, it is only to help us to go back to the spiritual world. But the help in what way? It is like we have example. Prabhupada used to give example of jailer. So jailer is required to take care of the जेल में जो होते हैं prisoners, कैदी लोग होते हैं ना. तो अगर जेलर नहीं है, जेल नहीं है, तो कैदी लोग तो ऐसे लूटते रहेंगे ना, चोर लोग लूटते रहेंगे. तो उसका सुधारने के लिए एक मौका मिलना चाहिए ना. वो सुधारने के लिए जेल बनाया, एंड जेल बनाया तो उसके लिए जेलर रहेगा. जेलर इज, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस
दुर्गा देवी ब्रह्म संहिता में आता है.
हाँ, दुर्गा देवी. So it is only energy of the Lord for a specific purpose. That's all. But once we cross that, suppose the jailer जेल में जो खैदिया है वो सुधर गए, तो जेल में रहने की जरूरत नहीं है ना, तो बाहर निकलेंगे. तो एक मौका दे रहा है कि हमें सुधरने का एक मौका मिल रहा है. अगर नहीं सुधरेंगे तो उधर ही पड़े रहेंगे. अगर सुधर जाएंगे तो भगवान के पास वापस जाएंगे.
तो ये बोलना कंप्लीटली एक सही समझे कि क्या, कि मतलब ही इज एक्सप्लेनिंग, भगवत गीता का इंट्रो दे रहे थे और उसमें वो बोल रहे थे कि एवरीथिंग इज कॉन्शियसनेस. ये चीज मेरे को अजीब लगी, मतलब कि फिर तो एक तरह से मायावादी हो गया ना ये. तो ये बोल देना कि एवरीथिंग इज कॉन्शियस.
नहीं, कॉन्शियसनेस इसका मतलब है कि मायावादी फिलोसफी है. It is only from the perception from what we are, I don't know from what perception he is talking about, but each one where we understand from a different perception, yes, it is fact, but it's not a general understanding that I am God, you are God. ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते. So मैं भी भगवान से आया हूँ, मैं भी भगवान हूँ, ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते हैं. Because consciousness है, लेकिन consciousness किधर से आ रहा है? Consciousness is coming because of the energy of the Lord. Consciousness is coming in whatever no consciousness he is talking about is coming only because of presence of the Lord in all this, even this matter. अभी मैं पहले बता चुका हूँ कि Lord presence is there even in the non-living entities also.
So तब ये chemical reactions हो पाती हैं.
हाँ, होता है ना. Otherwise पानी तो why पानी is liquid? It is scientists may say different reasons. But the main thing behind all this is they cannot explain the source original. Can they create a water? No, they can't create a water. Can they create whatever is there ingredients in this material world वो mix करके create करते हैं, लेकिन basic ingredients तो लेके नहीं आ सकते हैं ना. So that is coming because of presence of Lord into all these even non-living things also. So that is how we have to understand.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So, okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, continue, Mataji.
No, I do not have any questions. If you have any questions, please do ask,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Prabhu, you mentioned that seven samundar, and Kshirodaksha Vishnu is residing in each of the seven ocean. And even after that, we saw that he is residing as Shetwadipa. So I didn't understand what is the difference between that ocean and Shetwadipa. It is the
Mataji,
extension of the ocean, that Shetwadip.
No. See, Shvetadvipa means it is island. Okay. So Lord is residing in different 7 islands का बारे में बात कर रहे थे. So in 7 islands, Lord is residing. So he is there in every island is surrounded by a different kind of water, different kind of ocean.
Yes.
The 7 islands are there. The 7 islands are surrounded by 7 oceans. So in every ocean, Lord has his abode. That's what we discussed. Is there salty water also? Is there milky water also?
Yes.
So the Lord actually resides. When you say Kshirodaksha Vishnu, he resides in Milky Ocean. So that abode which is there in Milky Ocean is called Shvetadvipa.
Okay.
And
So
all other oceans also Lord's abodes are there. They are not called Shvetadvipas. The Shvetadvipa is in is
Ocean.
abode in Milky Ocean, ocean made of milk.
Okay. So
So
Prabhu,
even within that milk ocean also there are 3-4 different his abodes are there. All of them are Shvetadvipa only. Only last one Vishnu Puranas, one Purana has told that his Shvetadvipa is there in pure water ocean. That may be a different kalpa. But otherwise, in general, with Shvetadvipa, the abode of the Kshirodaksha Vishnu, which is there in milk ocean. That's why it's called Shvetadvipa. And in spiritual world also, if you remember that Goloka seminar, there also Shvetadvipa is there, where the Chaturvyuha expansions are, all the Chaturvyuha expansions are reciting. So in the center of
yes.
Shvetadvipa is where the Golok Vrindavan is there. If you
Adi
remember.
Chaturviha, yeah, they are staying.
Adi Chaturvyas
Not
are four
Chaturviha,
corners. Four corners of four corners of Shvetadvipa, Adi Chaturvyuha expansions are there. In center of Shvetadvipa, there is a Golok
Lotus
Vrindavan
God.
is there. So there again 7 abodes are there, and in center of that Radha and Krishna.
That is also
That
called
Shvetadvipa is
Shvetadvipa.
different. That
Yeah,
Shvetadvipa
yeah.
is different than this Shvetadvipa.
So Prabhu, another question, like we read in the scripture, na, like when the demigods go for their prayer, they go to Shvetadvipa. So is this Shvetadvipa they are
Yes.
going?
Yeah. Now
This one.
we just visited that Shvetadvipa, no? So we, along with demigods, you also came to the Shvetadvipa and visited the Lord. So this is a place where the demigods are going and reciting Purusha Sukta, Sri Sukta. So this is a place.
Okay, Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, the story of Jai Vijay, which is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I have one doubt that have Jai and Vijay fallen from the Vaikuntha of mundane world or the Vaikuntha of spiritual world?
So they mundane world, whatever is there, it's not called Vaikuntha. It is in
No,
spiritual
there
world.
is a Rama Vaikuntha above Brahmlok, no?
Huh?
There is a Rama, मतलब ब्रह्मलोक के ऊपर पांचवें मनवंतर में रमा वैकुंठ प्रकाशित होता है ना?
हाँ, but actually when you say Vaikuntha, it is the spiritual world where Lord Narayana is there. So that is a Vaikuntha. That is actual Vaikuntha. Like Kailash. Kailash, there are so many Kailash are there. But when you say Kailash, it is the Kailash which is there in the Sadashiva resides in spiritual world.
Sadashiv Lok.
So likewise Vaikuntha means it is where Narayana is, not the Vishnu, where Narayana is residing. I don't know if you have seen my the previous seminars, the Golok seminar. There it is clearly mentioned. I think you saw those seminars.
जो
Right?
फर्स्ट प्रथम चतुर्व्यूह से जो नारायण आते हैं वही ना?
हाँ, O Narayana. That is Vaikuntha. So there Jai Vijay was there.
Actually, I am attending the Golok chart seminar of BP Govinda Prabhuji. So they are also the same.
He has taken that slide from me.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah. He is doing an UK temple, no?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Bhadrani Mataji, anything else? Bhadrani Mataji?